However, yesterday, we got July inflation data. That's how it works. In the middle of the month, we get the inflation data for the previous month. Well, we got in July's inflation data yesterday. In fact, let's pop this up here now. This is a screenshot right out of the BLS report, the Bureau of Labor Statistics report right here. This is the number that we want to watch very closely because this is the number that they use. Now, yes, this is the first of 3 official data points. Remember, we need 3 data points. This one counts. This one does matter. This is 1 of 3, and it's not great. Anyway, look about in the middle of the screen there. On that screenshot, do you see the line that says CPIW, Consumer Price Index for Urban Wage Earners and Clerical Workers? That's the number that we want to use, okay? This is the data that they use from the third quarter to determine how much of a raise we're going to be getting. Now remember, how could you forget it? What happened basically starting, I don't know, February through yesterday? I mean, seriously, right? We all recognize that this is happening. What has happened over the last, call it 6 months or so? Prices have been rising rapidly on everything. Consumer prices across the board on virtually everything have been going up. We know this. This is no shock whatsoever. It's called inflation. But anyway, here's what they found, okay? In July's data, and again, I'm going to say it again. I just said this a minute ago. This one matters. All the months leading up to this, all the inflation data points that we've received, I've said it very clearly, didn't really matter. It was just giving us a trend, a trajectory, a speed, velocity, a direction of the inflation. All the previous numbers didn't matter. This one actually matters. But as you can see there in that screenshot from the BLS report, we can clearly see that they claim, okay, this is a big freaking joke. They claim in the month of July, according to the CPIW, there was no inflation. It didn't go up on a month-over-month basis. Annualized, it went up 3.4%, but month-over-month, in other words, from June to July, basically from July, okay, there was no inflation whatsoever measured on the CPIW. Really? Okay, yeah, we're going to believe that for in exactly 0 seconds at all, right? Yeah, we're really going to believe that one. That's, they're trying to pull a fast one on us, and they think that we believe this crap. Really? Who believes this stuff, right? Anyway, my point being is that, so what this is going to do is basically it's going to distort the numbers that we've been looking at for all of these months leading up to this, seeing rapidly rising prices through consumer prices and saying, hey, looks like we're going to get a pretty nice COLA raise. Yeah, not really anymore. And this, unfortunately, I'm just going to say this is only going to get worse. Between August and September, the next 2 data points that we get, okay, because remember, we need 3 data points. We just got number 1. This is the first data point. This is the first one they're going to use. Now we're going to wait for August inflation, which is going to be released in the middle of September, and then September's inflation data, which will be released in the middle of October. Those are the 3 data points that will be released that we will use to determine the COLA. So, considering data point number 1 came in and it's, quite a bit lower, and they say no inflation on a month over month, but on an annualized basis, yes, we're still at 3.4%. Remember, a month ago, the projections were coming in at about a 3.7 to 3.8% COLA. That's not happening anymore. Based on this data, no. We're maybe going to be sitting around the 3.3 to 3.4% range as of right now based on this number, okay? But my point being is that if we fast forward another month out into the middle of September when we get August inflation data, guess what they're going to say? By golly gee, inflation went down. How much you want to bet me on this? Does anybody want to bet me on this? Don't bet me. There's no point, okay? But my point is with this is that I've said this for a long time. The closer and closer we get to the midterm election, the more they're going to come in and tinker with the numbers. They're going to manipulate these numbers, and they're going to look lower and lower and lower. So, unfortunately, just going to give you a quick little warning here, which is this. Leading up to this latest data point that we just got yesterday, it was looking really good. We were looking like we were going to get a pretty nice, healthy COLA, like the biggest COLA that we had been seeing in many, many years. However, the invisible hand is coming in and pushing these numbers around, making it look like there's no inflation, nothing to see here. And then, unfortunately, Social Security beneficiaries are going to get a significantly lower raise. Again, just like always, as I say all the time, whatever we get for a COLA, we know that real inflation is typically double that. But again, Did you see the video that I had out maybe, I don't know, what was it, a week or two ago, something like that? I honestly don't remember when it was. Maybe within the last 2 weeks, I had a video out. And there was something along the lines in the title on that of conspiracy. Did you see that video? Super interesting. But my point was with that video is that for every 1 percentage point that they manipulate the COLA lower, that saves Social Security $16 billion a year forever. Every single year, year in and year out, it actually compounds more and more on top of that each year because of the COLA. So my point is if they can just bring it down even 1% by manipulation, which is clearly what's happening here, we can clearly see that that's $16 billion of savings. Check out that video. It's actually pretty interesting. And by the way, no, I'm not really a conspiracy theorist, but it does seem very, very, very oddly suspicious how this is all happening, and it happens every single year in July, August, and September. Why does that always happen? Is it just seasonality? Not really, because generally July, August, and September actually happen to be a pretty strong quarter when consumers are spending quite a bit of money on last-minute summer vacations and buying last-minute school supplies and back-to-school shopping and all kinds of things. People are trying to enjoy their summer, right? So they're out buying things and spending money before they get back into the grind, which typically starts, late August, early September, something like that. The grind starts again when people kind of get back into the groove of things, right? So generally, these happen to be more stronger months, as in consumers spending a lot more money. When consumers spend money, what happens? It drives inflation, more demand chasing, finite supply. Does that kind of make sense, right? Anyway, interesting. But again, not too surprised by this. And again, I've been warning about this for months and months, saying I fear that when we get into the 3 months that truly matter, all of a sudden there's going to be this manipulation, the invisible hand that comes in and all of a sudden tinkers around with these numbers. And it would seem that that's probably happening. Now, obviously, there's going to be some people out there that say, oh no, this is just the signs of a very strong economy. Whatever. It doesn't matter, okay? It doesn't really matter. If that's what you think, that's fine. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Everybody's entitled to their own thoughts and beliefs on all this stuff. That's totally fine. I'm just saying it's weirdly suspicious how these numbers get manipulated and these numbers move dramatically lower every single year between July and September. It just seems weird. Very weird. Okay, it's not really all that realistic. And even a month ago, when we got the numbers out that came down substantially, we even saw other Social Security analysts out there, like I cited in a video about a month ago. I said Mary Johnson, one of the Social Security analysts out there that has predictions every single month of where the COLA will land, even she came out a month ago and was like, this is like very uncharacteristic. This is not realistic how much we saw inflation drop in a single month. This just typically doesn't happen.